Welcome back to the Broad Street Benchwarmers podcast. My name is Adam Den. Michael Cormelos and Carter Watson are here with me, Ethan Lividitis. Unfortunately, unable to join us. He has some kind of horrible assignment for that thing called school, which we occasionally, deal with sometimes, possibly.
Yeah, try not
But
to.
try not to. Yeah, try to avoid it. But how are we doing tonight, guys?
It's a good
Great.
night. It's a good night.
It's a good night.
Phillies put a 10 spot up earlier, so
Yeah.
Phillies did win 10-1.
Took a glance at that. That is certainly encouraging. If you haven't yet, be sure to check out our MLB predictions podcast because a lot of you are not doing that, and that makes us very sad and very unhappy. So please do that. But in the meantime, we are here because we're about 3 weeks away from the NFL draft, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. That's nuts. And I'm incredibly excited to see one of our favorite events of the year. And I mean, usually by now we've already started breaking these prospects down, or at least breaking them down in our own separate time and creating podcasts and then not posting them. So we decided to come together and make something happen. Yeah. So today we are going to do all offense. We are going to dive into some of these prospects that look so great in what I think is an incredibly interesting draft class. So, how do we feel about this draft class overall? I'll ask that before we start.
really, really good class.
It's
Like,
it's fine. I think it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's way better defensively than it is on offense. I was going through players to highlight here, and I was there's eight of these guys I have in the first round are on offense.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting in that way, right? I think it's a lot of non-premium positions that are the big headliner players. I mean, you just said you have 4 running back prospects to talk about. There aren't many drafts where we get to do that. You know what I mean? And I actually think running backs are in the weaker parts of this class. But tight ends, the mid-round tight ends, this class is crazy. Tackles, we know there's going to be 6 or 7 tackles taken in the first round that we're all going to talk about. So it's incredibly exciting to see some different positions highlighted. Maybe not, the position that we're about to jump into right now, but some other ones that are certainly interesting. So we can jump right in there, I guess. We're going to start where just about everything starts in the National Football League, and that is with the quarterback position. The headliner at that position, the number 1 overall pick, presumed, is Fernando Mendoza, a prospect who I keep hearing on podcasts is not talked enough about, and yet every single podcast I listen to has been talked about at great length. So I think the world kind of knows our thoughts on the guy, but share a little bit for us, if you will, each of you, just how you feel about Fernando as a prospect and what you think he kind of projects as for this Las Vegas Raiders team.
Yeah, I mean, he's really damn good. I mean, I feel like a lot of people are kind of making this narrative out that he's QB1 because there's just no other good quarterbacks in this class. I just really disagree. I think he would have been near QB1 in 2024. I think he would have been, by far QB1 by a mile. Really, really, really damn good prospect. I mean, I think you struggle to find things that he's elite at. There are a couple things, but you also struggle to find anything he's not good at. It's the weakness chart is very, very small. Just all around really good. 2-year starter, obviously just played a 17-game season in college, which is the first 17 games. I don't know. I'm still getting used to saying that college teams are going 17-0, 16-0, but
yeah,
multiple year starter. Experience is there, played for one of the best coaches in college football. Straight up proved that he's just really good at everything. He's going to be a great all-around player. I think he's pro-ready. And I think that term can be thrown around loosely. It's generally sometimes I feel put in almost as a negative term if you're pro-ready, but I think it's in a way where I think he's ready to go week 1, regardless. And even though the Raiders are making stupid decisions to make sure that doesn't happen, but that's a topic for another conversation.
Yeah, I mean, with Mendoza, he gets a lot of the kind of weird labels that people just stick upon anybody about high floor or low ceiling and pro ready, and all of it has kind of just turned into pseudo analytics, if not just slot. But I think that he's the type of player that he doesn't necessarily do some sort of big grand thing well, but there isn't a very strong flaw. He moves well. He hits every area of the field well. If I had to say that he had some sort of exceptional trait, I'd say it'd be intermediate throws over the middle.
Mhm.
The most impressive thing to me about him is he doesn't seem to wither in tough moments or be easy to freak out. And that was apparent, especially over the course of last season, but also in 2024 at Cal. Throughout the course of this season, I think of the game he had against Penn State, where
Yeah.
it looked like they might have taken their first loss of the season. And he put together a great game-winning drive where he moved like it was no different than the first drive of the game, and they're trying to move the ball down the field. I think about the national championship game, the 3rd and 5 or perhaps 4th and 5 QB draw. Just confident running, keeping his legs moving, and he is a pretty good runner. He's not obviously not going to be like a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Allen and give you 800 to 1,000 yards on the ground, but he'll be more than effective with his legs if need be. And yeah, he's a player that I'm very confident in going forward.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I kind of was like, when you were talking about that Cal stuff, because I mean, Michael remembers a year ago, I had kind of a little bit of a different take on Fernando Mendoza, and that was, due to what I think still could be one of the things that it becomes one of his weaknesses as his career stretches on, is that he does not really respond well to pressure at times. There's a very high pressure to sack ratio, especially in pressures up the interior. He's a solid scrambler. And I would say a good athlete, like you said, much better athlete than he gets credit for. But sometimes can put himself in scenarios where he is taking a lot of those negative plays. But in 2025, improved so much at doing so. And I think it comes down to his ability to again showcase his talents as an athlete and really make throws at all three levels. He is a really talented player as far as his touch. He doesn't have the strongest arm or doesn't have the most fluid arm, will we say? Like Cam Ward last year, we would say had a very fluid arm. He's making plays at all different arm angles. You're not going to see the wild 70-yard off shoulder Fernando Mendoza play, but you're going to see more tough plays on film than you would expect. And I think that makes him a really cool player. I mean, we've debated about this in the group chat for hours. I don't want to do that tonight because I'm sure we're going to do that all off season. I'm not, totally sold on the idea of him being completely pro ready. I think, their offense ran like 70% RPOs at Indiana, and I can tell you the Cal offense ran a higher rate than that. So I think, there are possibly some questions there, and I like the Kirk Cousins move, even, ignoring obviously the financial part of it. But I think he's a really fun player, and he's one that I think could develop into a top 10-ish quarterback the same way that CJ Stroud could, the same way that a guy who I view him very similarly as, and like a Matt Ryan did. So I'm excited to see where he ends up.
I'm going to ignore the Stroud top 10 and go to the point where you made about pressure. And I think there are rough ways that he handles pressure, but I look at the Raiders head coach and who he dealt with last year, which was Sam Darnold, who was probably the worst quarterback in the history of existence with dealing with pressure.
Yeah.
And the way the Seahawks were just able to get him out of the pocket, move the pocket, different protection schemes. So, I mean, I don't really worry about that much, knowing that the coach is going to be able to scheme around that.
Yeah.
I'd like to just to build more about, or to be more clear about what I was saying with the pressure. He takes bad sacks sometimes. At least he did in 2024. He's gotten better with that.
Yeah.
But one thing that I think was always apparent, and what I was trying to get at was, it never seemed like it would rattle him to the point where he can't operate anymore, which is an issue for a lot. It's an issue for Sam Darnold at times.
Yeah.
He doesn't shut down after a few bad sacks. Something that at times the quarterback who I guess will be starting ahead of him week 1 and Kirk Cousins does. But yeah, I think for all of the, when you see him take a bad sack, he won't let it mount into his head and make it become. He won't start taking more sacks off of the basis of he already took a sack, and
Yeah.
that's pretty encouraging. And it's a trait that kind of goes underlooked.
Yeah. No, I
Mental
think that's a
toughness.
great point. Yeah, that's a great point, Carter. And you see that in the national championship game, right? Like they come out on that opening drive, Miami, and they kind of put it in his face, right? Like they go 3 and out. He gets hit a couple times. Like it's not pretty. But against one of the best defensive lines in the country, he comes out in the next drive. He leads a touchdown drive. And I think, that kind of toughness and his ability to be cerebral on the football field, that is his elite trait. A lot of people are comparing him to Jared Goff. I love Jared Goff. He's another Cal Bear, right? Jared Goff couldn't read a football field like this guy can at this point in his career when he was going number 1 overall. So I think that's going to be kind of his superpower as he heads into the NFL.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. All right. So off of Ty Simpson, coming in likely second in this NFL draft, is Michael's favorite prospect in this draft. I cannot tell you how much Michael has gushed about the talents and the potential of Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. He is a guy that has been on the top of Michael's big board all year, and he is incredibly excited to just give you the full rundown on why he thinks Ty Simpson could go number 1, just like Dan Orlovsky. Michael, give it to us.
I think Ty Simpson sucks. He's good athleticism. He's a great athlete. Especially for his size, there were
the fact that you even just said that is a big deal. I think we should acknowledge that in the form of
he's a good athlete.
Okay.
He's a scrambler. I mean, he's not as good as an athlete or scrambler or improviser as Mendoza, but it's probably the best part of his game, which sounds good in theory, in the aggregate, but it's really not because he can't do anything else. The arm is completely inconsistent. He's a terrible decision maker, and I mention this every time any of us watch Bama games together, but it felt like he had more dropped interceptions than he had touchdowns every game. The film is awful. He throws the ball to the other team more often than he does his own players. Consistent underthrows on deep routes. And he plays pre-snap too much. I feel like he's in love with his first read way too often to the point where all of these times where he really, extending plays and running around is because the wide receiver he stared down for the first 5 seconds of the play was covered, and now he doesn't really know where else to go. And once there, he had a really good start to the year. And once there was film on him, it was over. The dude was one of the worst quarterbacks in Power 5 the second half of the season, and it was highlighted by losses in some of those big games. And the Georgia game sold it for me. Just embarrassed. And then I felt bad because he got hurt while I was talking shit. But of course that had to come around to me. But I just don't see it. And I'm a really big component of I don't really care how old you are when it comes to football. You could be a 6-year senior, you could be a 1-year starter. I'm going to take that into account. When it comes to the older, I'm not phrasing this right, but I don't care if you're a 6th-year senior. I'm going to grade you because you played a lot of football. This guy is a true senior, but this was his first year as a starter, and there were some really bad quarterbacks to start over him at points at the Alabama tenure. He was buried behind Tyler Buckner on that depth chart. They would have rather thrown out a consistently injured Jalen. There were times where they would rush Mill, run back from injury, so they wouldn't have to play Ty Simpson. I think that tells you all you need to know. Just don't like him. It's a development. It's a development thing. He could sit for 3 years and then be fine. But the idea of him going in the first round is why that should get you fired. You shouldn't even be able to make the next pick. You should.
Yeah.
be on your way. You pack your bags, get ready to learn the CFL.
Yeah,
Uh,
go ahead.
yeah, I know. I just complained about how much I don't like these terms. So actually, no, I'm gonna work my way around saying low floor because I hate how I hate how the phrases are generally used. But there's the worst case scenario. You have a guy who can like run and he can hit some good throws, but also his timing's bad, and you never know where he's going to actually put the ball. There's a scenario where you've got a much smaller Joe Milton, and that's no fun. But
Oh, baby,
I,
that's
I,
a
I still
comparison.
yeah. But I think there's something interesting here. I can't say that I just don't see it like Michael does. I think that there's a lot to iron out, which is why you definitely can't draft him in the front half. I think if you're in a situation like, let's say, the New York Jets or Pittsburgh, where you don't have, or even if you are like a situation where you don't really need a quarterback in the immediate future, but that could be an issue down the line. Los Angeles, perhaps he can sit behind an objectively better player, and then you find out in a year's time or 2 years' time, however long it takes, if we have something. That's what Green Bay did with Jordan Love, and I think that if Jordan Love ended up in a situation almost anywhere where he was a day one starter, he would not have lasted very long in the league. So I can't write him off entirely because I think the tools are there. And I was just talking about this. I talk about it a lot. I don't believe in day two quarterbacks. Draft one day one or wait until the fifth round. And with that in mind, I would use a late first on Ty Simpson if I wanted him.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough for me, Carter. I'm somewhat in agreement with you as far as the day two quarterback thing, simply because I don't really see a lot of situations across the like. I'm usually pro day two quarterback. I think that's fine to take a risk. We've seen Super Bowl winning quarterbacks come from that range, but I think there's not a lot of teams that are potentially in the market for that day two quarterback, like you kind of pointed to, outside of uh you know actually who Simpson is as a prospect and the teams that you might consider, right? Like, let's say the Los Angeles Rams, right? You just moved on from Jared Goff. Why are you going to reinvest in a guy who has similar traits to, a guy like Jared Goff who just moved on from? Indianapolis Colts, you have Daniel Jones in your building, right? Why do you want to try to chase after a guy who has similar traits to Daniel Jones and is of an advanced age? Why wouldn't you try to look for something different? The Minnesota Vikings just got Kyler Murray in their building, and still have JJ McCarthy. Those are all prospects with different skill sets that are much more unique and advanced than what Simpson offers you even at his best. So I think that's the issue. As far as Simpson as a player, I mean, I would guess I have a higher view on him than both of you from what you guys are saying and what it sounds like. I think he's legitimately really, really special pre-snap with the amount of starts that he has and, what he's made. You see him making checks at the line all the time. You saw him have a really complete handle of the Alabama offense at times. Post-snap, I'm in agreement. There definitely is, a lot of, we'll say, over aggressiveness that goes on in his head. I don't think it's a lack of. I don't see it as a lack of like cerebral like football smarts. I see it more as a hero ball esque thing, which I think some of which can be defended by the play of the Alabama skill position core over the second half of the season and the Alabama offensive line. Some of it can be defended by him just being kind of dumb and playing dumb at times. So I think based on that, I have a late second grade on him. I think that's around the range he should go, mid to late second. But like you just said, Carter, I don't really know where he fits, and maybe a team will jump up in the end of the first round. But if I'm Arizona, if I'm the Jets, like I just can't see this as a scenario with the amount of capital that they have, right? Trying to jump into the back of the first round with a guy with as many questions as this guy has.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
no, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, I agree with the pre-snap thing. He's exceptional there, and
Mhm.
with the inconsistencies of the wide receiver room from Alabama,
Yeah,
especially Ryan Williams, who was basically
that's what I was
supposed to be
pointing
his
to.
one from day one. It did not
Yeah.
work at all with him. Yeah, it's that there's so much unknown. He doesn't have a lot of film, and it's
Mhm.
there's a lot of question marks. But I think there's the high end scenario is better than a player that I would wait until the second round to pick.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, to give him credit, Carter, like you're just saying about the pre-snap, like this is a much more advanced offense that he's running and having control over than Indiana. So when Dan Orlovsky says the shit that he says, um, you know, I understand where he's coming from a quarterback's perspective watching him, right? I don't think he's right. I disagree with him wholeheartedly. But I understand what he's saying, in which there's a scenario where I'm like, hey, I think this guy could have a higher ceiling in the NFL just because of the specific experience that he has, and what he's shown in those glimpses is very advanced. It's just we're only seeing it in those tiny glimpses, and it's incredibly inconsistent. And I don't think we kind of pick and choose what we're looking at, right? So I think that's kind of the air there. But I mean, throw this guy on the Los Angeles Rams if again they choose to invest in that way, and shit, who knows?
Yeah,
So yeah. Well, we have another guy who we were talking about pre-show, who we have kind of similar questions about, and that is Garrett Nussmeier. Certainly plenty of experience, but very similar film. What are your guys' quick thoughts on him?
I mean, not as good as an athlete, but better arm.
Hmm.
So very, very, very similarly graded guys.
Yeah.
yeah. No, I can copy and paste what Michael said about Simpson and paste it for Nussmeier. Actually, no, I compared to my opinions on Nussmeier, Michael is actually the number one Ty Simpson fan. I don't see it. I don't
Wow.
see it. He's not my QB3. I don't think he's my QB4, and
He's not my
usually-
QB3 either.
I don't really grade beyond like 5 quarterbacks, but
Mhm.
I don't like him. I don't like his physical tools. I don't like his athleticism. I don't like the tape. I implore anyone. This is a question for either of the two of you.
Yeah.
Which game am I supposed to watch from the 2.5 years he started? Where am I supposed to see a starting NFL quarterback or a backup NFL quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier? Because I don't think I do.
I would say 2024 it would have to be. And I guess it would probably be. I mean, I think the film is fine. I'd say the Vanderbilt game in 2024. That's probably it. Or
Or
the
Oklahoma or Arkansas.
yeah. I just I think a lot of the hype around him is from stuff we don't get to see, right? So I understand where you're coming from, Carter, because a lot of the hype from him is coming from, hey, this guy was really great at the Senior Bowl, or hey, this guy, had some really great workouts for us and is getting a lot of buzz. It's not like the film I watched on Garrett Nussmeier is so incredible I have to draft him. So I think that's a lot of where the disparity comes in. But I think in 2024, I do think there's some really good stuff on film, I will say. This is a guy who I mean, me and Michael were talking about it, in the offseason this past year, right? I had Garrett Nussmeier quarterback 1 in the offseason. I was on the Nuss bus. I don't think he
It
did anything.
crashed.
It did crash. It crashed week 1. It crashed very soon. I didn't think he did anything particularly special, right? It was still probably going to be a mid to late first round grade. But, there's solid arm strength. There's good touch on the football. He's mobile enough. He was a good decision maker at that time. And then he gets injured in the middle of this 2025 season. And you just see a lot of those traits kind of falling off. He's really rushing his throws, not really inconsistent timing all the time. The decision making is not there. He's bailing out of clean pockets. Like it's really bad football.
And by the way, before he got hurt,
Yeah.
he was playing the best game of his career against Bama.
Yeah.
Before a season-ending injury. So
yeah. So it's very difficult to have any kind of grade because we've seen flashes of it. I'm willing to put him at quarterback 3, similar to Simpson, because, I've probably seen as many flashes of Nussmeier as I have of Simpson. The difference is I've seen those flashes of Nussmeier within 2.5 years, and I've seen those flashes of Simpson within a year. So
not even a year,
I'm willing,
within the first 8 weeks of the season.
Exactly. So I'm willing to make the bet on Simpson more, that there's upside, than Nussmeier, who I've seen a lot of. And I still have the same takeaway. But I think there's certainly an argument for either, and I think we're going to find out a lot about them.
Can I give my fourth quarterback?
Yes, please do. You're going to say Kate Klubnik. You're going to kill me.
I'm not.
Oh, good. Okay.
It's Taylor Green.
Oh, okay.
It's
He's a good athlete.
There's some really bad decision making in there, but this guy has been the epitome of god awful coaching. I mean,
yeah,
he's a 3-year starter. I want to say 3.5 years. I think he started the tail end of his freshman year in Boise State. It's not great coach. It's not great developmental coaching out there in Boise State. The sure as shit ain't there in Arkansas either. Elite athlete, really good arm. If he could kind of cut down the decision making, I feel like it's there. There's a lot of good traits there. If he's put in a perfect scheme, maybe even very esque to the Mike McDaniel kind of scheme, I think he would thrive in that. But as a day 2, maybe early day 3 guy. But I mean, the upside's there. And, the way I would build a team, I like the athletic flash quarterback, so that's why he kind of sticks out to me.
Yeah,
Cole Payton's fun too. Kate Klubnik's a fine project to work if you want to draft him in round 5 or round 6. There's not really anybody else worth even sniffing, and yeah, I include Carson Beck and Drew Aller in the not worth spending a draft pick on.
Yeah, I mean Green's cool. They're not going to let him play quarterback.
Never.
He's 6'6", 6'7". They're going to make him be a tight end. Honestly,
he is 6'6". I didn't even realize that.
I think Klubnik might actually be my 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
He was really bad this year. He was really bad this year. But I challenge anyone who thinks he's not draftable to go watch how incredible he was in 2024, and there's a reason behind Manning. People were just making shit up because the media hates Clemson. It's not go to Clemson, he's good. No, the media hates us, and they want us to fail. So Klubnik being bad, it's there.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
But he was just so god awful this year that I wouldn't pick him before the 5th round.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I'm not doing that. I think Kate Klubnik is perfectly fine as a day 3 guy. I'm fine with Carson Beck. You all are gonna boo me or whatever.
He doesn't do anything. He doesn't do anything. He can't be 24.
For as much as I don't like Carson Beck, the first year he had at Georgia, that sells me way more than anything Garrett Nussmeier's ever done.
With Beck, it's the arm
fluidity,
right? It's the arm fluidity. It's the same stuff that we talked about with to a much greater extent with Cam Ward last year. He is he is a lot of arm talent. He's a bad decision maker at times, and especially late in games. But if you're projecting him to be a backup quarterback in the NFL, that's not really something you're asking a lot of him to be. So
Yeah, but he also has like a mid arm. Like I don't see the good arm strength, and he's an idiot, and he's a
I
bad
think he has a
athlete.
lot of arm talent, and
Who
he's a
gets
fine
him, bro?
athlete.
They hate him at Miami.
He's a fine athlete.
Nobody likes that guy. Like nobody wants
think
to
he's
play.
fine.
Nobody wants to play with him. And he's not going to work as a backup quarterback.
He's
He has. He's like he's awful. He's like the definition of like
He's
last chance you.
fine. No, he's fine. I'm with him as an early day 3, late day 2 guy. I think I can rock.
He's my quarterback like 10.
He's gonna end up 4 for me. I promise you.
That's insane.
Maybe 5.
I'm looking at this. I think I've got Nussmeier 6th just to give myself a decided. That's where I have it.
Wow. Okay.
That's fine.
Wow.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, I
Running
can't do that.
back.
But all right,
Running back.
talk about the backs. So we can just start. There's not much of a conversation to be had about Jeremiah Love. We know he's gonna go very highly. We know he's a great prospect. I think the conversation to be more had is more just like, what does Jeremiah Love not do well? And will Jeremiah Love go in the top 10? So I'll let you both kind of mull and decide what you want to say for both of those questions.
I don't know if Jeremiah Love goes in the top 10. He should. I think he's a top 5 prospect, but I don't think. I just think because it's a running back, and it's hard if you're not Genty or Bijan, you know. But I think he's like limited in pass protection. But like, if that's what we're nitpicking here, then like, you know, whatever. Like, I don't care. He also abandons the hole too much, I think, before he tries to like bounce outside or make an amazing play. Like, I think he just needs to
I
kind
agree
of
with that.
the blocking. But again, like if that's really what we're nitpicking, then like okay, whatever. Like you're elite and everything else, like cool.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. No, I don't see a weakness really. I also don't see a team that can or should draft a running back top 10, and so I think he'll fall a bit. I made a prediction about him falling somewhere way earlier in like February. Said maybe he'll fall into like the 20s and someone will trade up. I forgot who I said though.
That would be far.
You're saying wow? I feel like you were there. It was here.
There.
I just don't remember what team I was talking about.
That would be far though.
I don't remember if it was the 20s or it was the teens. But point being, I don't think he goes top 10. I think he slides a little bit because he's a running back. I also think he's a very good one. I think a lot of the running backs to go round 1 recently, I think he's better than. I would draft him ahead of Genty. I would draft him ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs. And yeah, there's not anything that I'm like I even kind of really get stuck up on. Oh, I don't know if he does that well. This is going to be a good running back for a good bit of time.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. I think he's a really great back. I think the one thing I will say, and the reason why I probably, yes, I have him probably, like you said, above Gibbs, who I thought was a reach at the time, and above Genty, is because I do think he's a great pass catcher. However, I don't think he has the generational athleticism and explosiveness that maybe a Bijan or a Saquon had. So I'd like people to slow down with that. Those are guys who I would probably be like, oh my God, take this guy in the top 10 no matter what. And I don't quite have the same excitement with Love. He kind of lands in that middle place, but he's still a really, really good prospect. And I mean, if I'm Washington and I'm sitting there at 7, he's there, you can't tell me, that's not the worst thing in the world, right? I mean, pair that with
it actually is the worst thing in the world.
I don't think that's the worst thing in the world.
The defense is awful last year.
But they invested a lot in that defense this offseason.
Okay, and they need to invest more.
I think
you see the offenses in the NFC East.
I have, but they also don't have a single talented skill position player on their roster besides Terry McLaurin. So I think what Jeremiah Love brings you as a pass catcher too, huh?
You think who's good?
Bill.
Oh Lord.
Ah!
Break, bro. Oh
I'm not
Lord.
giving the guy who had 800 yards on 4.5 yards per carry behind that terrible line. Like, I'm not just going to rest on that.
But I think that's the difference as well, though. I think that line is okay. I
I
think
think
they could
outside of, well, I mean, now
26.
it's good.
Now
Now
it's
it's
good.
good, but last year it sucked.
It was because they all got hurt. But
Yeah.
I
And,
think
and Bill was still good last. So who cares? Like,
Ja'Cory,
but that's not like,
Bill.
that's not even the argument. The argument is like, running back is not like the essence of need. If you watch them last year, you're not like, oh well, they did go 4-12, but a running back would really make a difference. Like
I
that's my hesitation. Like it's not worth
but
it.
if they're better enough
It's not Bijan
defensively,
or it's not Saquon. He's not Bijan or Saquon. That's the only way that's an immediate upgrade. I don't think that's not it.
I don't know, man. I think if you're in
I
that
wouldn't mind the pick.
range and the edges are off the board and Sonny Styles is off the board and you're thinking about him or like a corner, like I think the immediate impact is going to come from Jeremiah Love in an off season where they need an immediate impact. So I wouldn't mind it.
I just disagree on the. I disagree that it's like you don't. I don't think they need as much immediate impact as they need a long term impact as well. Because the
Yeah, but
team
Dan
still
Quinn and
has-
Adam
still has-
Peters might not be there to see the long term impact. That's my point.
But I like if they stay healthy, they will be. Like I think they will be. It's just still a decent, still a solid team. I don't see a world where it would make sense. That to me, like if you end up having a really bad corner room or like the linebacker room struggle, that kind of pick to me gets you fired more
Yeah,
than picking a good corner or a good linebacker there, or or
you
investing.
might get fired either way.
You might
I
get fired,
think
but I think the safer bet to not get you fired, like that is way more of like a high risk, high reward. I think there's a low
Yeah.
risk, high reward of keeping your job if you go defense at 7.
But I don't know if it's high reward. That's the thing. Carter?
I mean, I think for what it's worth,
Yeah.
that there's some logic in of Love pick because there's like some not a consensus, but like I think there's some people that feel as if the Commanders season derailed in large just because of injuries. I don't think that's the case. I think that's a bad football team that is not really in a contending window. It's going to be hard to say that when they were in the NFC Championship not long ago, but that feels like an outlier year to me. And so
Yeah.
I think they've got kind of the flexibility to draft Love, but I mean, yeah, it's a tough thing to justify when you've got such a bad defense and you have your quarterback already to say we're going to do more for the offense and pray that we get stops.
Yeah. I mean, it also comes down to the fact, Love is the second best prospect on my big board. I have Sonny Styles and then I have him. So it's part of it for me too. The second best player in the class is sitting there at 7. I mean, it's tough to pass up. But
it's positional value when you had a really bad
I
defense
know.
last year and a rookie running back who ran for 800 yards on 4.6 yards a carry.
I know. Yeah. We'll be talking about it for weeks. But you guys had running backs you wanted to talk about too. I mean, I assume Jadarian Price is one of those. It's definitely a guy we should hit on, but I'll give you guys
Yep.
the floor.
You want to go, Carter?
Yeah, Jadarian Price, obviously, very cool. He's got like questionable vision at times, but he's such an aggressive runner. And I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he can be similar to like a Jordan Howard almost, where he's going to run through you, and there's value in the fact that he's going to put his helmet through your chest, and type of player that always can help a team. Physical runner, falls forward, gets yards.
Yeah,
Another guy
he's really
I
good.
want to mention just before I don't want Michael to steal him because he said he's got 12 running backs they want to talk about. Jonah Coleman out of Washington. Very, very fun player. Kind of like I know this is the football episode, but I'm the college basketball guy, and so I've got to compare him to. This may not make any sense to some people, but I've got to compare him to the forward Joshua Jefferson out of Iowa State. Stick with me here. Uh, does a lot of things well. Isn't necessarily the flashiest, but doesn't have a big hole or a big concern that's like very well, and that gives him a floor that doesn't elevate him to anything near Jeremiah Love in the same elevate it to the level of a Cameron Boozer, but it's still a very strong pick to make.
Yeah.
Good football player. And good basketball player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one I just wanted to throw Mike Washington out there because that dude is
Good player.
genuinely like Tyreek Hill speed.
Muscle hamster.
Dude cannot block to save his life.
Yeah.
Dude could not block Adam in the A gap. Like he needs some
Hey, we're
muscle.
bulking. We're bulking.
You're 5'5", bro. Like,
We're up to 140.
yeah, that's a problem if you can't block in the A gap. There's an issue, and there's lots of fumbles. Hold on to the ball, and you're an RB1, buddy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
No, that's
Good player.
They're both very good. I can't say I've watched a ton of Jonah Coleman, but I really like Price. I think he's a guy who projects to me as kind of like that power back, that kind of David Montgomery-esque player. That's kind of who my comp for him was. If he lands in a place like a Detroit or a place like I don't know, like San Francisco, where he can play in kind of that West Coast style offense and be the 1B, I think he would be absolutely electric. So he's a guy that I'm really excited to see what he does in the future. But yeah, do you want to move on to receiver? This is where I get excited.
Yes, this is where I'm excited too.
It was awesome.
Yes.
I'm
Awesome.
certain that we have
Receiver,
disagreements here
receiver.
too, so I'm going to have some fun.
Certain we do as well. So receiver is incredibly interesting because there are three guys at the top and then a tier break, and then two or three guys, depending on how you look at it, that have kind of been jumbled around at the end of the first round. So I think we can start with the three. Do you guys all have Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, and Jordan Tyson in a different tier than the other receivers in this class?
Probably yes.
Probably
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
But that's
So
my
let's-
1 through 3.
Yeah. Let's start with those three. Let's go around and we'll say our 1 through 3 and why, and then we can start talking a little.
I'm Lemon, Tyson, Tate.
Wow, I like that. Okay.
For me with Mekhi Lemon, he's just so. One thing that people are going to get caught up on with him is the straight line speed isn't really there.
Yeah.
But he is just so good with the ball in his hands that you don't actually notice that he isn't running very fast because you can't tackle him. You can't tackle him. And at the end of the day, there's no difference in if you're trying to tackle a guy who's running past everybody and you can't catch him, or if you're trying to tackle a guy who's running through people, or in the case of Mekhi Lemon, a guy who just kind of glides around and it's hard to actually stay in front of. He's easily my favorite. After that, it becomes a debate of, for the sake of this, I'll say it's Tyson versus Tate for me. I think with Tate, there's times where he doesn't seem to. I'm stuck trying to avoid the low floor thing again because I complained about it already.
But
today.
I think it's fair.
Yeah. Or not even really. I think that's what I have to say though. I think that.
What you mean high floor for Tate?
Sorry,
think
yes,
Tate's a
low
high
ceiling
floor
is
player.
what I was trying to get at. Low ceiling,
Yeah.
and I think there's a scenario where he does a lot of things well, and he doesn't have a standout trait.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Tyson has a standout trait. I think Mekhi Lemon has several standout traits.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lemon is my number one. I think he can play in the slot. I think he can play outside. I think he'll do a great job winning before the catch. He'll be great after the catch. Uh, if he's in a situation where a team is comfortable letting him return, he'll be a great returner. He's just awesome.
Yeah. No, I have Tyson, Tate, Lemon. Um, and it was really tough for me. I did my grades today on all three of them, and I have the three players all within point 0.2 of a point of each other. That's how tight it was, and I actually I gave the same grade to both Tyson and Tate. Um, to me, Jordan Tyson is the most fun player in this class simply because he's the most explosive athlete, right? This is a guy who can do everything. You can line him up anywhere. He can be a Z, he can be an X, he can be a Y. He's a great jump ball receiver, right? He can go and get any football over any size defender. He's not going to wow you with his separation, but similar to Lemon, right? He has great lateral speed. He has great shiftiness. He has great yards after the catch, and he is an electric route runner. He can find, create separation out of just about anything due to his kind of quick burst and change of speed. He was so much fun to watch on film. I gave Tet McMillan a higher grade than him a year ago, but I think he was a much more exciting watch on film than Tet McMillan. And I think, he doesn't project to me as a 1 like McMillan did, but he could definitely be a high end 2 in this league. Lemon, I view very similarly to you. My biggest thing is still, like you said, the straight line speed. And also, I think there's a more limited role for him. It's very similar, and it's why I'm so hard pressed to make this mistake, right? I view him very similarly to how I did Jackson Smith and Jigba in college. And I don't want to fuck up again and not give Jackson Smith and Jigba a really high grade. But I worry about him being a slot only player and it not working out. But he can run any route from the slot, right? He can separate anywhere from the slot. It's just against more physical corners when he gets pressed a lot. There are some issues at times, but I think he's such a good receiver. He really is an electric receiver, and I think he could be a top end 2 in this league too. Now, Tate is the least exciting. Tate has the size, he has the intangibles, but just the athleticism, the speed, excitement, the burst on film isn't necessarily there. He's just a really technically sound Ohio State-esque receiver. And that's not exciting, but that'll definitely get the job done. I view him, my comp for him he's very similar to what Marv is now, what we're seeing with Marv in the current NFL. And that's still a really good player. That's probably a solid 2 on a decent enough NFL team. Will that win you, 12 games? Maybe not. Is that worth the number 6 pick? That's something you're going to have to decide. But in a draft that I don't think is incredibly deep at anything, having a solid 2 with that pick and knowing you have that is pretty solid. So I like them all. I think if you told me you had any of them as your favorite guy, I would be like, yeah, you're right. But it's challenging.
Yeah, and just to add on, there's a lot to be said about how Tate can be like unexciting, for a lack of a better word, at times.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that the guy across from him is like the best football player ever certainly does not help.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't want him. I don't want to almost. I feel as if I may be watching him play, and then I see number 4, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, he's cool, but look at that guy, and then
yeah,
you kind of lose sight of how good Tate is. It's very easy to do that.
I agree.
I gotta say something before I go.
Okay.
Juan Soto's injured.
Like serious injury?
He's exited the game after the first inning. He got hurt running the bases.
It's not good.
Oh wow.
which
Oh,
is
that
why
is
I,
not
Fair.
good.
I just checked the Mets score, like while y'all were talking, and I saw that
Yeah.
Tyrone Taylor was playing left field, and I was like, "What?"
What is
And I
happening?
looked, and
Yeah.
he is hurt, and he's out of the game, and Mets fans are treating this like this is the end of the world. So
I
this
mean,
is
it
either
kind of is
nothing
for
or
them.
this is serious. Yeah. I like
Yeah.
Tyson. Tyson's my wide receiver one, anyways. I feel the same way I felt about Smith and Jigba, as you said, out of college. Very, 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 very good receiver. If healthy, was the wide receiver one far and away. Injuries are a concern, but I think that's the risk you have to take when you have a really, really good guy, like a really damn good all around receiver. Lemon's my two, once again, all around really good, and Carnell Tate is my three. Could you tell I didn't do as much research on wide receivers as you guys did? Carnell Tate, it's exactly what you said. He's just the boring, typical, going to be a 1,000-yard guy in the league receiver from Ohio State, and I think there's just less like the lower ceiling, as we say, lower ceiling on Tate than there is on Tyson and Makai Lemon.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's absolutely. I mean, it's going to be really exciting to track over these next couple weeks just to see where these guys kind of end up. That next class of receivers though is also incredibly exciting, and it's I'll ask you guys: Omar Cooper, Denzel Boston, KZ Concepcion. Are we kind of in the same place there?
No on
Yeah,
Concepcion.
No on Concepcion. Tell me
Yeah.
why.
Just doesn't feel like a receiver. Like feels like a nice player to have, kind of a gadget. I don't see
Really?
like I see a good athlete, and I don't see a traditional receiver, and that's something I always shy away from.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't like his route tree that much. Yeah, but he's a player that I guess trying to think through it, he might be six, but he would be the six. He's not in the group of the first two names you said.
Yeah. I think he is solidly 5 or 6 for me. I view him and Denzel Boston actually both probably a little below Omar Cooper. But we can start with Concepcion, and I think the struggle for me is the hands, right, and the route tree. I think both of those things are tough. He doesn't have the most consistent hands. He does work largely as a slot. He doesn't have elite speed. It's mostly like yards after catch stuff, mostly schemed stuff and creation. But like you said, really special athlete. And I think a team, I view him almost as like a Hollywood Brown, right? Like, I think there's a team that could be in the market for him because he is so good at the specific routes that he runs, because he is so good in open space. I think there could be a team in the market for that kind of skill set just to add some explosiveness in the offense. I think of like a Miami Dolphins who just needs some kind of life inflicted in there, and that's a place that he could go that I look at and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's logical.
Yeah,
There's something there, and I don't want to phrase it like I think there's nothing there.
yeah,
Because that's going to be an NFL player for quite a bit of time, but
yeah,
he's probably not the six for me.
yeah.
He might be the six, but looking at this, I don't want to spoil who I want to talk about later. So there's two names I really want to mention later, but
Okay. Well, let's talk about Boston and Cooper.
yeah,
Yeah, I really like Cooper a lot. I think he's a special three. Um, or like a low end two. That's kind of what I project him as. I think he's also somewhat limited in what he can do, but as a route runner, really great. Um, he can run routes at all 3 levels, although the fact that he's a little limited as far as size kind of limits him on the deep balls. And he doesn't have quite elite explosiveness, but his bread and butter is the middle of the field. and he had such great chemistry with Fernando Mendoza and working over the middle of the field and creating separation there. The yards per route run is really sick. And I think he's kind of an enigma because of the size, but he's a guy who I think could fit a lot of NFL offenses simply just by being a target funnel.
Yeah, he's a good player. Doesn't drop a lot of passes, and with a guy who might not be a 1, probably isn't a 1, maybe not a 2. That's a very encouraging thing. He operated primarily out of the slot, and sometimes teams if they have their 2 outside guys set and who they want out there, and they get a third receiver out of the draft, it may be somebody who's not as accustomed to winning in the slot, and they don't do as well in that adjustment as you'd expect. He won't run into that issue because he's used to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's a solid player. He does a lot of things well.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think he'll be solid. And then Denzel Boston is a guy who I find very interesting, right? Because he's a skill set that a lot of teams are looking for, right? Big, physical. I compared him to Alshon Jeffrey, right? Big, physical, ball winner type of receiver. There's a limited skill set there, but there's a skill set that a lot of teams are seeking. He's not the most consistent catcher, but he's a good catcher of the football. He's good in space, probably better than Alshon Jeffrey ever was at just like shaking off tacklers and creating yards after catch. There's a lot of teams that I think could use a guy like this, even if he isn't the perfect mold. He looks a lot like Romo Dunze, ironically.
Yeah. I like Boston, and I think he's got serious high-end potential. My big holdup and the thing that separates Alshon Jeffrey as being I'm going to say that separates Alshon Jeffrey as being the better football player as the most nothing burger statement ever. But what I want to get at is, for me, it doesn't feel like Denzel Boston wins in zone that much, and
that's fair.
It's kind of confusing because he's like you said, he can wiggle way more than Alshon can. You'd expect him to be better at like just finding spaces to sit down in, but I think if he can like begin to hurt zone coverages, that makes his ability skyrocket. But I think at the absolute floor, he's a guy that will get catches. He'll be hard to match up with. A team that likes to play a lot of man coverage will probably get in some trouble with pass interferences or just giving up deep passes against him. And so it's a fun profile of player.
Yeah, absolutely. There are a couple guys at like day 2 guys who I am excited about. I'm actually going to give Michael the floor to talk a little bit about Antonio Williams if he has anything, because that's a guy who I think has shown me enough flashes. I'm leaning towards him as maybe my 7 or my 8, and he's a guy who I think could be really exciting in this draft.
Yeah, he's fun. Hasn't really put it together for a whole season since his freshman year. Injuries exist. He's really explosive. He's really fast. He catches the ball in space. This is certainly a guy for me. He's just a baller. He's all around really good. He's reliable when he's on the field. He rarely ever drops the ball. He's lined up at running back occasionally. He could throw. Like he's got like 3 passing touchdowns at Clemson. Like he's just a gadget. He can do it. He's just really damn good.
Yeah.
He's just a workhorse. Great receiver.
Yeah.
That's probably not all that you wanted, but
no, that's good. And Carter, who are your guys?
I would like to talk about I'd like to talk about Jeremy Bernard. I think that he is. I know we dogged on the Alabama receiving core earlier, but he is the exception. With all the struggles, particularly Ryan Williams had, he picked up the slack that they really needed. he was the high-end receiver that Alabama was expecting Ryan Williams to be. Great games against Tennessee, a great game in the Iron Bowl against Auburn. I thought he was impressive in the game that they lost to Oklahoma in the regular season. A very smooth player. He had 102 targets, 1 drop. And when you see things like that, it shows high floor. And God, I'm trying to get away from that. But I guess I don't hate it as much as I said I hate it. I hate it more with quarterbacks because it feels lazy.
Yeah.
Other guy I want to talk about a lot, Omar Cooper's teammate, Elijah Surratt. Not the most athletic guy.
Very true.
He's not very physically imposing, but in terms of how well he moves. But he's got a big body, and watching him in those playoff games when they would just throw those back shoulder passes, and it felt almost like they found a glitch play on Madden. Just impossible to defend. His timing's so well on breaking back on those routes, and he's got strong jump ball abilities, things that will allow you to last in the league. The thing that you want to see from him is more of a you want to find some way for him to become a effective guy after the catch, if possible. That would give him another gear. But I think either way right now, he's a player that can go win jump balls, won't be bullied, and you'll be able to move him around.
Yeah.
Watch the game. Watch the national championship game and the game against. Who did they play before that? It was Oregon that they played before that. Watch those 2 games. You'll be moved.
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement. Those are 2 guys who I really love, especially Bernard. I think Surratt, there's definitely potential at the next level. I do worry, like you said, about the lack of athleticism, but slot him into a room. If you threw him in Philadelphia right now as a 3, I would be thrilled. Just because he is like a guy who can move and great hands. As far as Bernard, though, I think he is a really special athlete and a guy who could do a lot of things. He doesn't necessarily win with his athleticism all the time, because of like the lack of elite speed or athleticism, but the hands are so good, the route running is so good. He could be a really special player at the next level. So I'm excited to go. All right. Quickly, because I know Michael has a bedtime and I have a bedtime.
There are also jobs that exist.
There are also jobs that exist. Quickly, Carter says he does not have Kenyon Sadiq as tight end 1.
Okay.
I'm going to give him the floor for a second just to somehow defend his case, which I think is indefensible.
Yeah, okay. I will preface this by saying I may be an idiot. I've been told
That's a great way to start.
I've been told that I don't value tight end blocking enough, and that may be true. I have questions about the high end level as a receiver. The production isn't there, and it's concerning. And these are very different players, but I think with Darnell Washington, the lack of production was kind of ignored, and he's gone to the NFL and he's a good tight end, but he's still not going to give you like high end yardage output. When you're drafting a tight end in the 1st round, I expect some level of Gronk, Travis Kelce, Tony Gonzalez type of production. I don't think Kenyon Sadiq has that in him. I don't think he has the route tree like that. And with that in mind, I also, again, this may just be dumb, I believe more in a player's ability to develop as a run blocker and as a pass blocker than I do their ability to develop as a pass catcher. So with that in mind, I think that the big body that Max Clare has allows him to everyone seems so disappointed. Hang on, listen to me for a second. He's got the flashes. You can see a blocker at times, and if he can put that together, I think that the ability as a receiver is already there. He's got reliable hands. He can move pretty well. He's got a good route tree, and Max Clare is my tight end one.
I can't see it from an athleticism perspective. I know Kenyon Sadiq's not perfect as a receiver, right? I know that he had struggles with his hands a year ago. I don't think he's the most fluid route runner, but he is like, baby Kyle Pitts freakish when it comes to athleticism on the field. And when I watch Max Clare, I see like a square. And so
Wow.
I think he's a guy who I see as a day 2 guy for sure. But I think it's a lot more. What he does is a lot more industrial, and we've said high 4 a lot of times, or high floor, low ceiling a lot of times. I think that's Max Clare, and I think Kenyon Sadiq, the ceiling really is like the roof. So that's where I go, even if I don't love Sadiq where he's at right now, and I see what you're saying right now. I just think there's so much more upwards mobility there.
Yeah. I might be an idiot, but I'm standing my ground here.
Yeah. No, stand your ground.
Philadelphia, do not draft Kenyon Sadiq, please, I beg.
Philadelphia.
Well, I guess we're not in that market anymore.
Please don't draft any of them.
Yeah. That was my big concern in February when it looked like Dallas Goedert would be on another team.
Yeah. No, that's fair. All right. We will speed run Michael's favorite offensive line.
I don't think I could speed run it.
Really?
That's so much to say about Caden Proctor, bro.
Then hit us, please.
Bro, I hate Caden Proctor. I can't as a prospect. He's like seemingly is a consensus first round pick, and like every draft profile I look at, all the film I watch, they're like, yeah, he sucks, but he's a first round pick. I'm like, what? Like I watched the film, and this guy is like easily beat in pass pro. Like a spin move is this dude's kryptonite, or like a simple juke, and he can't keep up. He's got small arms too, which really doesn't help. He relies on his size, I think, so because he's a big guy. This is like a above average size offensive lineman, but not muscle. He was 370 pounds at one point. I read the story, and it was like the Alabama coaching staff had to like make him lose weight. This is like the equivalent of like, oh, how heartbreaking. They made the big guy from Florida. The Chiefs made the big guy from Florida like watch the team practice while he
It was
ran
Tampa.
laps.
It was Tampa. But
Tampa.
continue.
But you know, like that's exactly what it seems like. And I'm like, why do we have to motivate this guy to not be 370 pounds? Like, he had terrible conditioning, and it was evident early in the season too because he was awful.
Fat shaming,
dude. It doesn't work in the NFL. You can't rely on your size to beat everyone and like not be like conditioned. And this guy, he had a very weird like commitment trail. Like he committed to Bama, and then transferred immediately, and then went to Iowa, and like there was rumors like the coaches hated him, and then he transferred back to Bama. But this was after he was originally committed to Bama, and then, or he was originally committed to Iowa and then flipped to Bama. It was really weird. I remember being told it was weird. This just feels like Austin Jackson waiting to happen again. Like,
nah, he was up there to watch Caitlin Clark, man. You can't knock it, dude. You saw Caitlin Clark and left after the spring.
She bold.
That's weird. That's weird, man.
It's not weird. You see the shit Caitlin Clark was doing? That's awesome.
Just watch it on TV. Bro, Saban was paying him under the table, bro. Just fly to the game. Dude,
No,
it's so weird, and like I don't see it. Like I don't see the consensus first round pick thing on the film. Like I don't like the film. I think he's a second round guy at best. Like I don't understand it. I really don't. Dude, he should
I
play guard.
I think watching the film, I actually was more pleasantly surprised because I've heard you say this for about a year now. And I thought it was, especially over the second half of last season, better than I thought it was going to be.
Well, that's when they
Uh,
made him lose weight, dude. And then he
I
wasn't
he
370 pounds.
But he is now. That's how where he is now. He has a really good first step. Um and I think generally holds
None of
up.
the other steps are good though.
I think he, as the season went on, he became more technically sound. There's still a specific type of edge rusher that he's definitely going to struggle against, right? Kind of that the Ruben Bain, if we will. But I think there's room for him in this league, especially if he's willing to be able to kick inside.
But I
And
don't think he is. He's a
on that,
3 year
I think he
starter at
is,
tackle.
dude.
He's a 3 year
I think
starter at tackle, and he
I
still
think
looks this bad.
I think he could be a guy who you could view that. So and there are more tackles who have more questions that are probably going to go in the first round than him. I'd say it
But
like that.
I think it's like the whole like lower floor thing that we keep saying, or higher floor thing. Like the floor here is literal hell. Like the floor here is
Yeah.
this guy plays like 5 games,
Yeah, I'm with
and
you.
like you know what I mean. Like,
But
I
I
have
think
the
we could
note
say
down here. I have
we
the
could
note down
probably
here.
say
Like,
that about Blake Miller
we
too, right?
no,
I think so.
I don't think you can because hasn't been
You
a
can.
single concern about Blake Miller. Like the size has been fine. He's a 4 year starter. He's started every game since he was 18 years old. Like
He has, but I think he has the
and
same
has played all
struggles
over the
against these
line.
super fast edges that can beat him around the edge with speed.
And I will take the
I think it's
4
an
year
issue.
starter who hasn't had issues being coached before I will take the 3 year starter who struggles more and is apparently like the weirdest dude ever.
But I'm not gonna. I don't know this guy. I didn't sit in a room
I
with
don't know
him.
them either.
But I think
And
off
neither did
of the
I. But I'm just saying,
film,
but people.
I think off of the film. I mean, Carter can hear us out, but I think off of the film, I think he's tackle 5, and I think that's perfectly defensible.
Miller or
You
Proctor?
think Proctor or
Proctor.
Miller is?
Proctor.
Yeah,
That's fine.
that's
fine.
fine with
Tackle
me.
5 is fine.
Yeah.
I would put I can't say half these names. I would put Mayaga. I would put Fano. I would put Lomu. I'd put Miller and maybe Freeling in front of him too.
I would put Maligoa, Fano,
Wow, I
Freeling,
butchered that.
Lomu, and possibly I really like Max Ianachor, guys.
I do too.
I really do.
I like Blake Miller. I think these are
I'm
all
not as high on
back-end-
Blake Miller. I really like Max Ianachor.
So do I. I have this note written in. I said great back end first, early second prospects. So I'm willing to use those picks on them before I'm willing to use those picks on Caden Proctor. And maybe I'm just overthinking
But I think
it.
that's where he could go. I think that's where he's going to end up going now. Is that same
But I just-
place?
but-
If he goes to that
maybe-
same
and maybe
place,
he
you
does,
can't
but
tell
he
me
should
you're
go
not.
But he should go there after those guys. Like if those other guys are on the board, don't know. I think it's a bad pick.
I think that's fair. Carter,
Am I supposed to give my list or give a guy?
you can just
that
give
I
your
wanna talk
general
about?
thoughts.
Yeah. Here's somebody that I decided, like, as soon as we started talking, I was going to talk about him.
Yeah.
Austin Barber out of Florida. He got a good frame. Yeah, this is my time to be biased. Very good frame, smart player. He has the athleticism you want to see. Not a first round player, but he's a player that has improved all 3 years out of since he's been in college. Struggled with injuries, but when he's been able to stay healthy, he was a great player on a not great offensive line generally for Florida.
Mhm.
And I think that he can be a solid 6 lineman, potentially a starter for an NFL team.
That's fair. I would just want to take a quick minute to talk about Ianachor because he was really exciting. I went in thinking this guy was going to be like the ultimate project who just had traits, right? Because that's how everybody continues to talk about him. There's like real athleticism and film on this guy. He's a really good pass blocker. He really held up in that Texas Tech game really well against some of the best edge. I mean, David Bailey, who's going to go in the top 5. I'm watching this film. I'm trying to watch Jordan Tyson and David Bailey, and I'm like, man, this Ianichur guy, like he's right there, right? He still needs to develop as a run blocker. I think that's definitely like a hole for him right now, but he has the traits to do it, and I think he's going to be a really exciting player where he projects at the next level. So I'm excited to see where he goes. And of course, I mean, you guys know Lomu, Maligoa, Fano. Fano, Maligoa, those are guys who I think are really, we can talk about them for a sec. Those are guys who are really stout, and I think where they're at, and probably the most developed prospects in this class. Fano has a couple questions as far as arm length, but those are guys who I think have all the reason to go in the top 10, and maybe Monroe Freeling as well, based on how he's tested.
Fano is an athletic freak, dude. That guy's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very funny that the edge rusher that looks the best and the tackle that looks at least the second best.
Is he cutting out?
Yeah.
All right. You want to say that all over again?
Okay,
no,
that's what I thought. What'd you guys get last?
The tackle for Miami.
Yeah, I think that. I think that it's interesting how the best edge rusher in this class is Ruben Bain, and at least the second best tackle in this class is Spencer Fano. Both have questions about their arm length with no other real concerns.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the thing I'll say is we're going to talk about Ruben Bain next week. Ruben Bain uses his lack of arm length as a strength. Spencer Fano could have problems because his arm length is a way that he wins. So I think that's a little bit of the discrepancy there that I feel, and that's why I think Fano could slip. But like you guys said, if you're an athletic freak like that, I'm fine drafting him and seeing maybe if he wants to play guard. Because I know somewhere on the offensive line, he's going to be a really good player for multiple years in the NFL. I have faith in that.
If they tell him to play guard, if I'm him and they tell me to play guard, I am pulling up the fact that Will Campbell is not playing guard immediately.
Well, and that's the other thing. I think Will Campbell showed us at times that you don't, everybody can bug on Will Campbell and what he did in the postseason. Will Campbell was hurt all postseason and was a really good tackle in the regular season. So I think there's an argument there that there can be success in the NFL.
I agree.
Okay. Do we want to do guards really quick? Anybody got a guard they really want to talk about?
I do not.
It's not the first two off the board.
Pregnon is fine. Vega is awesome. I think he's a top 10 player in this class. I love him to death. I think he should go before maybe everyone besides Maligoa and Fano. To be honest, I think he's that.
Maybe everyone. He should go after the two bona fide top 2 tackles.
Yeah, just because they're tackles. But
your point is collapsing.
My point has collapsed. But if he were a tackle, he's a more talented overall player than those two. It's just they're tackles. He's the best offensive lineman.
Pick up the phone, Nick.
Howie season. But yeah. I know Michael needs to go to bed. I have a statistics test due in 40 minutes. Who are we firing?
JJ Redick.
Why are we? Luka Doncic is hurt, bro.
And he had him in the game down 40 points in the third quarter. He's fired.
He got hurt before they were down 40 points. We can't do that.
Yeah, which means you take him out of the game. We're losing by 40.
He's a coach of the year.
Firing JJ Redick.
Miss me
He,
with that.
he
Miss
is
me
a
with
coach of
that.
the year candidate, and he's also fired today.
Michael, pick somebody else. I can't listen to this.
Rob Thompson.
Okay.
They
we'll fire
scored 10
Rob.
runs. That's a much more egregious answer.
We used like 4 relievers today for some reason.
Red is coming off a 40-point loss. You're talking about the guy that just won.
Dude, Rob Thompson didn't do shit.
We started the show talking about the fact that the Phillies just won.
The Phillies went to the World Series in 2022, and I didn't.
I fired JJ Redick.
I veto all of you. We're firing the Milwaukee Bucks front office and Giannis Antetokounmpo simultaneously. I'm sick of listening to this and hearing about it. Just trade
Good
him.
answer.
I'm
Good
not
answer.
firing.
All right.
No.
Actually, no. Hang on. Final answer. We are firing the Memphis Grizzlies. Or we are relocating them.
No!
Have you
Wrong
guys seen
answer. Wrong answer.
Have you not seen like the 4-minute video of them just asking NBA players what's the worst city in the NBA, and everybody says Memphis?
They're
We
not
love
wrong.
grit and grinds. We love grit and
We
grinds.
love grit and grind. We can grit and grind in
Relocate the
Nashville.
Pelicans. Relocate
Grit
the
and-
Pelicans.
No, New Orleans
Yes.
is awesome. Grit.
New
no.
Orleans
New Orleans
is
is
a horrible
dope. No
basketball
way.
city. New Orleans
No.
is a horrible
No.
basketball city.
No, it's
Relocate
not.
the Pelicans.
That's just because they've never been good.
Fire my co-hosts.
Wow.